All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Eric Paulzine, going to be breaking down the Thursday night football game. Now, I've already touched on this one a decent amount, so this is just going to be kind of confirming some of the plays that I thought we'd be on, just giving you guys that more direct thought of kind of this slate and breaking it down for you guys, showing you guys kind of the lineup process for this slate. So let's just get right into it. I do kind of want to show you guys just right off the bat kind of what the lineup builder is showing us on this slate. So yeah, we can kind of see that, minimizing the screen a little bit. So the players that's coming out with are kind of expected. So Isaiah McKenzie was a value play that I thought we'd be on a decent amount. He's popping up a lot, and so his player exposure is pretty high. Gabe Davis's exposure is going to be pretty high in this one. Stephon Diggs. So really what it's telling us is that the Buffalo Bills side of the ball is the one that you want to be on the most. Now, I don't know if I exactly agree with it, but that's kind of what the data is telling us. So just looking at it, we'll start off with the Buffalo Bills. Or just real quick, let's just talk about these two teams. So these two teams are both very great teams. We know that. And because of that, it does make this slate harder to predict because really they don't have that many weaknesses on their teams. So it is tougher to gauge kind of this showdown slate. And I want to start off with that. This is a showdown slate that if it weren't the first NFL game this season, I probably wouldn't be attacking it really that much because I do think it's going to be harder to predict. Now, we do have some really strong value plays. I shouldn't say strong, but good enough value plays in which we can afford to pay up for the studs. So let's just start off with those value plays, and then I'll get into kind of the rest of the slate. So just looking at the first value play, and most of you guys already know this, is going to be Darrell Henderson. Just looking at his price compared to like Cam Akers, it doesn't really make sense. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson are expected to be the 1A, 1B in this offense. So Darrell Henderson going to be the 1B in this offense, most likely. And Cam Akers, we'll wait and see. We don't know what Cam Akers is going to look like. He didn't look that good last year coming off of that injury. He should look better now, but we just don't know that. And that's part of the reason why I don't like this slate. We have a decent amount of unknowns, I guess, or players that we need to make assumptions on. Darrell Henderson is not one of those players. We know that Darrell Henderson at this price point is simply too cheap. He should get involved in the passing game a little bit. I mean, he gets, 2 to 3 targets each game, sometimes 4. It really just depends on the game flow. We know he's an explosive back. I expect him to get 10 to 12 touches in this one. And if he does, this will obviously be a very cheap price point. And I like his chances to score a touchdown in this one as well. So a pretty good value play there for you guys. Another good value play that I think everyone is going to be on is going to be Isaiah McKenzie, priced at 2.4K on DraftKings. So last week when I came out with the kind of preview for the Thursday night football game, I said, hey, if Isaiah McKenzie sits, Jamison Crowder, you just have to play. But now that Isaiah McKenzie is playing, I do like him. He would be the value play on the Bills that I probably go with the most. Should be a solid play. He's going to be their third receiver, most likely. We don't know that yet. That's not confirmed, but that's what we're expecting, is Isaiah McKenzie to be the slot receiver. We know it's going to be Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs playing a majority of the snaps, and then it's going to be Isaiah McKenzie and Jamison Crowder kind of working in there as well. It's just depending on how they want to attack the LA Rams. But he should be a good value play. But he's not the best value play on the slate. We got Ben Skowronek. I still am butchering his name there, guys. I apologize. Make a big play, buddy, so I can get your name right. Anyways, though, it was expected that Van Jefferson was going to sit, and then Skowronek here would be the value play on this slate. He is the value play on the slate. You could easily afford to fit him into your builds. We have seen the receiver number 3 and the Rams have some big games. Okay, I expect him to get a decent amount of targets in this one, and he's definitely a name that we have seen kind of produce before when he's gotten playing time, okay? Like 3 targets for 6 DK points, not out of the question. And at this price point, that's absolutely going to be enough for you. And like just given the preseason, Sean McVay did not play any of his starters in the preseason, and Skowronek here was one of those players as well. So I do expect him to be involved in the offense. And like, I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to play him in the captain spot to be able to afford to fit every other stud in there, I don't hate that. Like you could just go boom, 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 and you're good. And maybe go Isaiah McKenzie instead. Like you could easily do that if that's the path that you want to go with, okay? Really not bad. That should be a nice floor. This lineup would probably cash. But now kind of just breaking it down. So like I think, and I kind of have been favoring the Bills. It's like Gabe Davis I like, and it comes down to you got to choose Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis, I think. I think that's really what this slate comes down to, is choosing between one of those two, because I think one of them is going to have a big game. The expectation is that Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Stephon Diggs at least a little bit. But once again, we don't know that. We're projecting that. Okay, that's not confirmed. We haven't seen these teams play this season. We don't know how they're going to attack or where they see our weaknesses or strengths. We just don't know that yet. I do like the idea of taking the price discount with Gabe Davis. He's a guy that got targeted a ton in the end zone last year, all without playing that many snaps. We've seen him be productive when he's gotten that playing time. I think the targets will be there for him. I think I'm going to go with him over Stephon Diggs. And then from there, if you guys watched any of my videos earlier this week, I do really like Devin Singletary. Okay, I think this is going to be his role until he loses it. And if he plays the way he did last year at the end of the season, he's not going to lose it. Okay, so for now, I like Devin Singletary a lot in this game at 7K. I think he's got a strong chance to score a touchdown. I think he's going to have a little bit of a floor there in the passing game as well. What can he do on the ground? That's what we have to figure out. I do think he's going to be able to 2X at this price point tonight. And then from there, do you want to play Isaiah McKenzie? I would. If I'm playing the Bills, I'm going to go Isaiah McKenzie, and then you kind of have to go Josh Allen. And I think you could get away with playing Josh Allen in the captain spot as well. And then if we go to the LA Rams, if you want to fit Cooper Kupp in there, I think you should. The Bills are a little bit banged up in the secondary with Tre'Davious White out. That's going to benefit Cooper Kupp. And we still have a decent amount of salary left over. Skoranek, you could fit in there. I don't hate this build. Obviously, you want to be able to kind of make it a little bit better than that. I don't want to play both values tonight, so kind of what I would do in this build situation would be go Gabe Davis in the captain spot, and then I would go Josh Allen, and then what do I have left over? Maybe Jamison Crowder, but probably Darrell Henderson there, and I feel pretty good about that build. I do think the Buffalo Bills are going to win, so I would favor the Buffalo Bills in kind of that game script, and then you go Cooper Kupp, who obviously just a stud, and then Darrell Henderson, probably going to get a decent amount in the passing game. So I don't mind that build. Now, if you wanted to do more of an LA Rams stack, you could easily do that as well. So let's get Devin Singletary out of there, and then we could put in Allen Robinson, who, for all intents and purposes, is kind of cheap. You look at the difference between Allen Robinson and Gabe Davis price point-wise on the slate, doesn't exactly make sense. Now, maybe when the prices came out, people were worried about Matthew Stafford's shoulder there. For all intents and purposes, I'm not going to worry about that too much, but that is something that we would be worrying about on this slate. I think his shoulder's fine now to start the season, but throughout the season, it is something that could start to bother him. But right now, we just don't really have that information. We haven't seen it. We're just going to take the Rams' word, Matthew Stafford's word, that his arm is fine. It may not be. And that would make all the rest of the pass catchers not as appealing. But for now, we're going to treat it as is. I still think we'd be paying up a little bit too much for him on this slate. But maybe you could go with him, if you wanted to. Let's see here. Let's go Skoranek in here and see what else we can do with this lineup. I don't hate Dawson Knox. I mean, that's not terrible. Dawson Knox could score a touchdown. I mean, that's not terrible. That's really what you're hoping for with him. He's a little bit too inconsistent as a player, but I don't hate that. You could easily do that if you wanted to. Let's see here. I don't mind one of the kickers. Just that is exactly what these kicker plays are on this site. I do think they are going to have a decent game. And this is how I see them as plays. You just end up on them to close out your build. And you're just that's okay. I don't mind that. We can go with that. That's kind of how I see those plays on this slate. You know what? Let's go with Stephon Diggs instead. And then we'll put Isaiah McKenzie in there. Not a terrible build. Okay, we got the two top receivers on the slate. Josh Allen, who I think will be the highest scoring quarterback on the slate. We don't have to worry about Matthew Stafford's shoulder injury at all. You get Allen Robinson in there, who's pretty good. And maybe with 3 LA Rams pass catchers in there, you probably would want to go Matthew Stafford instead of Josh Allen. Maybe. But guys, that is the slate. It's too much of a guessing game for me to truly love, to truly want to attack it. I do see the path at which we can attack it, but I don't see an optimal way to attack it. It's a lot of guessing and mixing and matching. Okay, so that's the problem with the slate. And now my cat is trying to say hi to you guys. I think that's a good sign. The last time he made an appearance, it was one of my better weeks in DFS. That was a PGA DFS slate. All right, but that's all I have for you guys. let's have a good showdown slate. Don't go too crazy with it. We still got that great Sunday slate that's coming, okay? Just have fun with it. Okay, be smart. It's the first game. We got a lot of them left coming this season. Hopefully you guys have a good night, though, if you do play it. That's all I have for you guys. And as always, let's keep cashing.